All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw Intuition Health Show. Glad to be with you again on this Sunday morning. Thank you for being with us. We got a really great show today and an amazing guest, someone that I met at the officially met at the vegan wellness retreat in Michigan in August. And so, yeah, I'm excited to introduce you to Kevin Black, who is going to actually be the head chef at next year's vegan wellness retreat. So that's amazing. Um, Kevin has been a raw vegan for over a decade now. And so I'm looking forward to hearing his journey into this lifestyle and just kind of what changes it has brought about. Um, and then we're going to get into a little bit about how raw food, because he's a chef and he's making some incredible recipes for people. And he's one of the most creative people, you know, making raw recipes. And so I wanted to get his side of the story on how raw food can change your creativity or just enhance your creativity, because I know personally it's enhanced mine quite a bit. And so we're gonna have a little discussion on that. But well, let's get Kevin in here. Kevin, what is up? Thanks for being here.
Hey, hey, Matt. Thanks for that great introduction, and it's good to see you again.
You as well. You as well. I can't wait till next year, and I think it's going to be even better than last this year. So are you excited about being the head chef?
I am little excited, little scared. Um, it's going to be the first retreat that I've done basically as a chef. I helped
Nice.
out in the kitchen last year. I did some food demos, but never really took on the responsibility of being the head chef at something like this. And
Yeah.
there's over 200 people there. I guess they asked me, and I figured, well, isn't that how you learn? You just
Yeah.
say yes to opportunities like that, and you go with it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm glad you said yes because, I know your pizzas are amazing. I'm sure all your other recipes are incredible as well, and just your energy and everything you're about. I definitely, I have no doubt that you're going to be an amazing head chef. So I'm looking forward to that. And you are in, is it Pennsylvania?
I'm in Pennsylvania. Yep.
Okay, nice. A lot of raw foodists in Pennsylvania.
Um, if there are, I haven't really met them.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's probably the same scenario for a lot of us.
Oh,
It
oh yeah,
seems like we're all spread out, and there's not a big community of raw vegans around us. But
right.
but hey, maybe we're not meant to congregate together. Maybe we're spread out for a reason to help spread this around to people who just are unaware of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point. I definitely think there's a reason that yeah we're all spread around, and it is nice when we can all get together because it is so special. You can just feel, it just feels different when we're all together. But I definitely think it's good that we're all kind of in our own areas to try and push this message to more people, and so people can see, just how powerful it can be, whether they're all raw or not. Just getting more raw food into your diet is huge. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's take a look at the chat here. We've already got some of our usuals, our crew. Tessa, Sherry, what's up, you guys? Thanks for being here. Always good to see you guys. So let's get into the just kind of your story. I always like to start off hearing how the guest got into raw foods, or just like your healing journey. What kind of led you to this lifestyle and to where you are today.
Yeah. So in 2009, I was miraculously delivered from a 22-year addiction to alcohol.
Mm,
And after, I quit drinking, I had a lot of skin issues that I was dealing with. So I figured, well, for 20 some years, I neglected putting anything really healthy into my body. So, let's go that route. Let's be a little mindful about, what we're putting into our body. And I just so happened to be in the kitchen making something for lunch one day, and this was in later 2009. And I had the television on, and it was like a holistic medicine show, and a guy was pretty much describing, all the symptoms that I had, and he was promoting sort of like this antifungal diet.
Hmm.
So that's where my journey began, was on this antifungal diet, and the list of foods was very similar to like keto or Atkins, paleo. It was in that ballpark. Um, so I switched my diet around. I was willing to do anything to try and get rid of the skin issues.
Mm-hmm.
And prior to all this, in 2007, I was actually at a doctor, and that was the last time I was ever at a doctor's office.
Hmm.
Um, and I was in there for the skin issues, and he just prescribed me an ointment or a cream, and even back then I just knew that that wasn't really gonna you know get to the root cause of what was causing my issues.
Mm-hmm.
um but anyways, fast forward back to 2009. So I went on this diet that this guy was promoting, and I seen some improvements. I lost a lot of weight. Not that I was ever really a big guy, but probably about 30 or 40 pounds I lost. Gave up processed foods, gave up processed sugar, gave up wheat, gave up bread, but the diet consisted of a lot of meat, um, some steamed, vegetables, um, and I mean, I guess there was some fat content in there, but I wasn't really seeing much improvement with the skin. um, and I stayed on it probably for the better part of 3 or 4 years,
Hmm.
until I was like, you know what, this doesn't really seem to be helping why I even started doing this. So I pretty much gave up on it, went back to eating whatever I wanted to eat. Um, and then in the end of 2014, my brother was diagnosed with liver failure and hospitalized. And
Hmm.
soon after, he passed. So that just sort of got me back into researching again on YouTube. And, I knew I just wanted to stay holistic, because, I just wasn't much for the conventional medical scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, in my searching, it was like I came across Marcus Rothkrantz, who was making pizzas and tacos and cheeses and desserts with nothing but raw, whole food, plant-based ingredients. And it intrigued me. I think more the creativity behind it than anything. And I was like, wow, I need to try this. So I just, I started making some of these recipes, was researching some other raw foodists online and using some of their recipes. And, I was feeling a lot better after eating this. And I was like, well, this is making me feel so much better. I really can't go back to cooked food, you know, and it just snowballed after that. I just started, putting my own twist on the recipes, and then just creating my own from scratch. And, it just ended up getting me to where I am today. So,
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. So, how long did it take since you switched from this antifungal diet to a raw diet to notice any changes with the skin or, that sort of stuff?
well, in the first year, my head actually, it cleared up. I mean, I had like all around the scalp line. I mean, it was like inflamed,
Mm.
and I had patches of, just, I don't know, I guess some people would call it maybe dandruff, or, just, I don't know, a dermatitis
Mm.
or a psoriasis is what I pretty much had called whatever I had going on. But I had it up each side of my body. I had it really bad. I had it on my back. I had it on my legs. I had it on my arms. So in the first year, I definitely seen my head clear up,
Okay.
and probably my arms and my legs. But it took a while for the stuff like on my back and the sides of my body. It wasn't really until I went low fat that I really seen major improvements,
Mm-hmm.
because towards the beginning I was doing a lot of cashews and just a lot of of the raw desserts with coconut oil, and it was just definitely higher fat.
Sure.
Um, but it wasn't until I heard Chris Kendall do a talk about low fat, and something just resonated with me, and I'm like, okay, I need to try this low fat.
Yeah.
So all my recipes sort of went out the window because they were all higher fat, and it was like starting over again. um, but yeah, I mean, it just I just started creating again probably in 2020 or 2021 with lower fat ingredients, and it just I just seemed to come up with the right combinations for some of these things, and it just and I always worked intuitively,
Mm.
you know so I wasn't even really thinking about doing any books or anything, because I never really measured anything out. But so then when I started on the books, I mean, that's a whole nother issue. Then I had to
Yeah.
start measuring things and stuff. But yeah, lower fat really definitely seemed to clear everything else up. So
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I definitely noticed a huge difference, and we have a lot of similarities in our stories as well. Because I don't know that I would say I was addicted to alcohol, but I definitely used it quite regularly. Anytime I would go out or you'd have a get together, definitely I'd get pretty pretty into the alcohol, and so yeah, that was one thing that pushed me, uh, you know, into a more holistic, healthy lifestyle is just understanding I had to get away from that. Um, and yeah, skin issues I had as well. And yeah, just like you, the low fat raw vegan diet was something that just showed me that I have so much control over the condition of my body. Um, and you really don't need the medications and all that to allow your body to heal. So that's really cool. Um, we got a couple of people in here. Mallory says that she tried Kevin's pizza at the retreat and it was the bomb. I would have to agree. It was amazing.
thank
Um,
you.
Rocky Wright says Kevin's recipes are so cool, very creative. So yeah, definitely some fans of Kevin here. So if you haven't checked out Kevin's books, I'm gonna link them in the description box down below. Um, I already got the link down there. But where can people find your books and things like this?
I'm on PayHip,
Okay.
payhip.com/raw foodie style.
Okay.
And the only social media platform I'm on right now is Instagram. So you can find me at the same name, Raw Foodie Style.
Awesome. Okay. Yep. And I got both of those linked down below. So anybody watching, I highly recommend going and checking those links out and following Kevin for his future. Do you have any current? Are you working on any new books right now?
I am not. I'm just concentrating on working on some new recipes for the retreat next year,
Okay.
which there's been talk of possibly putting everything that I create for the retreat into a book that would
Hmm.
be for sale out there.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm just trying to take it one day at a time right now.
Mm-hmm. I understand that for sure. Awesome. All right. Well, let's see here. Rocky is also dealing with some patch dermatitis on his head, and the only thing that has cleared it up is the raw. Yep, definitely, it is powerful. So I'm glad other people are experiencing the benefits. Um, Let's see. Oh yeah, Mallory is saying how being at the retreat, you're just surrounded by so many people who are all supportive and happy and fun, and there's so much outdoor time, and you get to sleep in a tent, or you can get a cabin if you want, or an Airbnb somewhere. But yeah, I did tent camping. I loved it. It was fun. I love sleeping in tents. Um, and yeah, so I agree. I hope everybody out there will join us in June next year for the retreat. It's going to be a little earlier than it was this year. So yeah, June. I don't remember the exact dates. June something, but um, do you know? Is it
I think it's June 14th,
okay? June.
um, through the 19th, I want to say.
Okay, cool. Um, do you have a discount code for people?
I do. You can get $100 off if you book with the code Healthy100.
Nice. Okay. Definitely, people, if you want to sign up, which I hope you do, you can use Kevin's code. I have one as well, but use Kevin's. Uh, okay, well let's get into the topic discussion here um, about creativity. So I know personally, my creativity has really increased since going on to this lifestyle. Have you noticed any ways that the raw food diet has increased your creativity or impacted it in some way?
Well, I guess just to start out, just with making the food to begin with. Like, how do you make a pizza with just raw plant-based ingredients, or how do you make a taco with raw plant-based ingredients? And
Yeah.
those were two of my favorite foods before going raw. So it was like, okay, I need to come up with the best tasting tacos that I possibly can, the best tasting pizza. So when I'm craving that, I already have it, you know, with the foods and that I'm eating now. So um, actually, the pizza crust came, I would say, by accident. I was actually just I was trying to create a wrap, and I made two, and I ate one as a wrap. And as I was eating it as a wrap, I'm like, I think this would be a really good pizza crust. So with the second one, I made a pizza out of it, and it was just like, wow, I think I'm gonna have to start making some pizzas. And I was in the middle of making a taco book, and that got thrown on the back burner because all these ideas for pizzas just came rushing in, and it was just like, wow, I can do this, or I can put this together and do this and do this, and it was just, I had to go with it. I was just in the flow, and for the next, I think, 5 months that I was creating the pizza book, I think I had pizza for dinner every night, for 5 months, which isn't a bad thing if you love pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but yeah, I mean, to really pinpoint how it came about, I don't know. There was just this excitement of, wow, I just, sort of discovered something, and it was just like all the other ideas just started coming, and I would make the pepperoni, and I was like, well, how am I going to top this one? And then all of a sudden an idea would come for the margarita pizza, and
Mm-hmm.
I did that, and then it was just like, well, what's next? And then all of a sudden, the sausage came, and it was just like one after the other, and it was just like, to be in that flow state, it's somehow, it's kind of hard to explain to people, you know but it's just like nothing else matters when you're sort of on a roll like that. it's
Yeah.
it's I really don't know how to put it into words, and if I did, it probably wouldn't do it any justice.
Right. I hear you. Yeah, I experienced the exact same thing with my when I was making my salad book and I was making the salad dressing recipes. It was just like every time I would make a recipe, like just out of the like randomly, I just threw stuff together. It would like every night it was a new recipe, but I hit it every time, and it's just like yeah, you get into that flow state, and it's like it's contagious, It's like and it's self replicating. It's just you build momentum and you just start like Yeah, it's hard to put into words.
Yeah.
You just get into a state and it just kind of flows. So really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
like I said, I mean, that's what intrigued me to get into the lifestyle to begin with. It was just like, before I seen Marcus on YouTube, I never heard of a raw vegan diet. I'm
mhm,
sure I heard of a vegan diet and vegetarian, but it never really crossed my mind. And I was like, what's this raw vegan stuff? And but when I seen it and just started getting more into his videos and other people's videos, it was just like every this is how I explain it in some of my other interviews, but it seemed like every fiber of my being, like every cell in my body was sort of jumping for joy, like, yes, this is what we need to do,
yeah.
and that's how I just knew that it was for me you know
Yep. Yep. Same. Same. It's just, yeah, you feel it in the depths of your soul. Like you just know that it's truth, right? Like that's how I felt. It's just like yeah, it's you just know. You just know.
yeah,
That's just it.
it's just a knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Very nice. I totally can relate to that. Um, my first one that I was thinking of, and Mallory kind of just touched on it even in the chat when she was talking about how you just get around all these supportive people. Um, you know, raw food. So you get into the community, and it's just like you're surrounded by creative people. And I think when you surround yourself with other people that have that energy and have that just creativity and just curiosity and outside of the box thinking, it's contagious. And so you just start yourself to feel like you can create things in your own unique way. And it's just inspiring to be around people, just like the people in that are joining us today on in the chat. It's amazing being around these people for me every Sunday, and getting to get to know them and build friends that way. But also we just support each other, and it just makes you feel like you can create things. You can create whatever you want, and so it just kind of inspires you in that way. So that's one of the first things is getting shifting my environment, the people that I surround myself with, from drinking and bars and partying, to partying in a new way with more health minded, inspiring, creative people. And that's just one of the ways that my creativity has just kind of skyrocketed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's with anybody that you hang out with. I mean,
Yeah.
energy is contagious, so
Yep.
you just you just got to really be mindful as to, who you're hanging out with, because you will start picking up their traits and their habits and their way of thinking. And, it's like when we were teenagers, our parents always were concerned about us running around with the wrong crowd, and they
Yep.
were sort of on to something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is definitely contagious, and I've become more mindful as to who I want to spend my time with, and I mean, sometimes where I work, I don't have any choice, you know,
Yep.
um, but you just sort of hope that you're affecting them in a positive way and influencing them, the best that you can, and just realizing what is and what is not your energy. Because sometimes, it takes me a little while after work to sort that out. Like, okay, that's not me. I just sort of picked that up at work. I work at a natural food store, so there's all kinds of customers coming in there every day, you know.
Yeah.
But and I think we touched on this before about how just being raw, how when it cleanses you and cleans you out, you become more sensitive to just energy in general,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah, sometimes it takes me a little while. I can get emotionally involved, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? There's something wrong here. And till I get to the root cause of it, it's just like, no, I think I was just around, a certain energy that I picked up and I identified as mine, and I just really just got to shake it off and say, no, that's not who I am. We
Yep.
don't talk a lot about. I don't think we talk enough about the energy and the environment and the atmosphere in the in health. We're more involved with the food and what we're ingesting, but we're always taking something in. We're energy based beings, and we're picking up energies all over the place. It's sort of like like a radio tower.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of what our bodies are in a way. So we're picking up things, from all over the place, and sometimes it's hard to pinpoint, you know, where this came from or what it is, but sometimes you just gotta, get alone and get quiet and you know ground yourself again and realize that okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
It was something that's just passing through.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I talked about this last week, or yeah, I think it was last week. How you need to just have the awareness to separate yourself from your thoughts. You don't attach yourself to those thoughts and think that that's you. You just realize thoughts are transient. They're not actually you. You can have negative thinking, but that doesn't mean that that's who you are. You just recognize that you can think something else, and our self talk I think is so important in shaping the way that we see ourselves and just our creative potential. So yeah, being around, we can't always control who we're around, like you said, whether it's our jobs or our family or our friends. You can change your friends, but it makes it difficult sometimes to only be around positive people. It's pretty, unlikely that's going to happen, but you can, as you said, take some time in silence, just kind of get quiet and just kind of balance your thoughts back out, get back into a positive state. And definitely that can get you back into that creative mindset. So, yeah, really great stuff. And let's see. Do you want to go over your next point?
um I never got onto social media until it was the same year that I went raw. So even just putting posts out, like taking pictures of the food,
Oh, yeah.
um, just the captioning, wording things, um, that was sort of kind of new to me. Um, just getting the right angle, because
Hmm.
that I think that has a lot to do with people even being interested in your recipes to begin with. If you don't have a good picture of it, especially like on social media,
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not going to catch the eye of people and make them want to eat something that doesn't really look all that appetizing.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was like in the same year, I started creating the food. I got on the social media, so yeah, and this was all before the book. Like I think I mentioned before, it took me a while to even um, to know that I was even going to do a book because I worked so intuitively,
Yeah.
and things were just, I wasn't using measuring cups or tablespoons or teaspoons of this or that, or I was just putting, a handful of this, a good amount of that, a whole thing of this, and a little dash, and I had something that tasted amazing. So when it came time to do a book, I was like, well, how am I going to do a book? I work so intuitively here,
Hmm.
you know. But social media, it opened me up to some new ways of creating, starting different pages, books, and you know I think even when I was on I was on Facebook is where I started, and I was doing more like sort of like blogging
Hmm.
on there. So it opened me up to writing, create, in a creative way.
Yeah.
And like I said, taking pictures. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, yeah, same. Like getting on social media, I never, I always liked taking photos as a kid, and that sort of stuff, and just having an opportunity now to be able to get creative with how we inspire people with taking pictures of food or just making just holistic health posts, and just kind of sharing with people all the benefits that we can experience through this lifestyle. um, yeah, it definitely takes a creative mind to be able to do that consistently. um, and yeah, it's funny. I'm the same way. That's actually the hardest thing that I had to overcome with writing my recipe books as well. Is I like never measure anything. I just kind of throw it together. And so just getting into that habit, it's like it's probably my least favorite thing about writing books is actually measuring out the recipes and writing them down. Because I'm the same way. I just like to throw things together intuitively and just go with that. Um, see, Rocky in the chat says it's really hard to have community being raw vegan besides for online. Even just being vegan is hard because vegans in general are really hard to find. Yeah, that is true. You can definitely look up meetups in your area. Most places are having meetups, of at least vegans, I would think. But that's I started doing some activism, vegan activism, with a group, in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities. So that's how I found some friends that were vegan. And then even just social media, you start posting. I've met people in my area just from that. So it is possible to find people in your area that are into this lifestyle. But yeah, it's definitely harder. It's not going to be like you're going to have like 25 people showing up at your door. But have you found any uh, ways of meeting vegans or raw vegans in your area?
Well, I work in a natural food store, so there's a few that come through there.
Okay.
Not many. I thought that I would meet more like-minded people by
Yeah.
working there, and
Yep.
very few and far between. I mean, I just live in an area that's more about hunting and fishing and eating meat and potatoes and baked goods and
Yep.
you know, um, which is nothing wrong with that if that's what you're into. I mean, I'm not judging that. I mean, but you know, it is kind of tough, and I found out when I went to the vegan wellness retreat that I thought that I was going to have an issue, and the first day I did. I took a walk to get away because I usually don't do well in big crowd environments. So I took a little walk, and I realized, what, the energy here is totally different than if I was amongst 200 other people, just random 200 other people somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I realized that it was a really good, you know, it was like the family reunion that most of us probably never had.
Right.
It was such a good, I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, you were just able to just be yourself, knowing that you weren't being judged for you weren't the odd guy out who only ate fruits and vegetables. And it's just like, I, I'll show up, at a get together, and it's just like it's weird that when you're living a more natural way of eating lifestyle, that you're the odd person out,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it really shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Even working in a natural foods environment, I feel like I'm the odd guy because nobody else that works there really eats that way.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's wrong with this scenario? What's wrong with this picture?
Right. Yeah.
Um, but I get it. I mean, people need to work. People need a paycheck. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's funny. I also worked at our local co-op for a few years, quite a few years ago now. But back when I was first getting into this lifestyle, and I was like, just buying raw fruits and vegetables, I was like looking for ways to. I mean, I was in the co-op almost every day, anyways. We had this. It was a little kind of like independent food co-op that has now since been bought out by a larger co-op, and now they're like more of a mainstream co-op. But I was in there every day, and this is another thing that I have noticed happening since being in this lifestyle is just how many synchronicities and just like opportunities show up in your life that, you know, if you're open to it, the opportunities definitely flow to you. So I was going in this co-op all the time, and it can be a little expensive to just buy raw fruits and vegetables. And when you're in there every single day, so the manager there just came up to me one random day and asked me if I wanted a part-time job there. And so he was like, "You can work here like 1 or 2 days a week. You'll get 20% off your groceries." Like, oh, okay, sure. So then I did that, and honestly, that the grocery stores, the co-op, and now the grocery stores I go to now, like the health food stores. I've met people there. I know pretty much every single one of them by name now. So every time I go grocery shopping, it's like a social event, and I have to like have like 100 conversations. But it's it's that was one thing. I started working at that co-op, so just another similarity that we have in that sense. And yeah, it was amazing. There was a lot of like health conscious people that were working there, especially back then when it was like just this little independent co-op. Since it got bought out, now it's like they got Coke and Pepsi, potato chips and all that stuff. So it's more like a slightly healthier grocery store. But they do still have a lot of local organic produce though from farms around here. But yeah, it just I noticed that not that many people were interested in, or at least they weren't eating like a whole food plant based diet. In any sense, it was more paleo or keto or something like that. So, um, but yeah, just noticed we had that similarity as well, where it's like working at the grocery store. You think, or you're at a health food store, you think everybody's going to be into like holistic, healthy living, and it's not always the case. So,
Yeah.
um, Liv, what's up, Liv? Good to see you here. Liv said she's met so many people through social media, and they have regular meetups now. So there you go. Social media definitely can connect us with people like that. And like you said, Kevin, the power of going to retreats is, one, for when we met, I just that connection I felt with you and just everybody else. You feel like you can be yourself, and that's again one of the powerful things about going to retreats, or any other like uh like I've gone to like a raw food chef certification course, and I've gone to like a detoxification specialist certification course. And just getting together with those groups as well, I felt a very similar vibe. So, and I met lifelong friends that way. So going to events like that can definitely be a great way of meeting people and building your tribe. And that again, it feeds your creativity because you just you feel free to be yourself and express your unique ideas and things like this, and it just builds over time. So yeah, that is awesome stuff. A lot of other comments coming in. Rocky says he has the tendency to use a lot of nuts when trying to make recipes because they make stuff taste so good. What does Kevin use instead to keep it low fat?
Well, I mean, I still use some nuts and seeds, but I just don't overdo it.
Mm, yeah.
Um, like the cheeses in my pizza book. I've seen other recipes where they use like a cup of nuts for the cheese, and I'm only using per pizza. You're only getting about a quarter cup of nuts in the cheese, so till you divvy that out between, I usually cut my pizzas into four big slices. I mean, if you're just eating one or two slices, you're not getting a whole lot of fat content,
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
know. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I still use them. I just don't use as much. Um, but yeah, sometimes it's hard to get around, making cheeses without the fat content.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
for sure. All right, there are some other questions. We'll hold them to the Q&A. The last thing I was gonna say on like my creativity, I think a big reason why raw foods can help us be creative is it reduces inflammation in the body and takes us out of more of that fight or flight sympathetic state. And so once you get into the parasympathetic, more relaxed state, it just gives you an opportunity to, expand your focus. Because when you're in a stress state, your focus narrows, you don't think as clearly, you're more in a survival mode. And so when you get out of that, again, your focus expands, your awareness expands, you're able to see things differently, and tap more into, your that soul energy, that just creative energy that I think is it's important for not only just being creative for creative sake, but for also just expressing what's within us. And I think that is so important for overall health and fulfillment in life, and really feeling like you're able to share what you came here to share, and just be who you were supposed to be. Right? I think most of us have been living lives of conformity and suppression, and just not being who we truly are. And so once you pull in those raw foods, you get your nervous system balanced, and you just start to feel more aware of your environment and your internal emotions and things like this. It's just a recipe for being more authentic. And I think that is so powerful and so needed, especially for people that are looking to heal and just live a fulfilling life, and, just be happy. So yeah, that's something I've noticed, is just my awareness just expanding and allowing me to see things in a different way, and that itself helps me to be more creative with my books, or just seeing my potential. I grew up thinking I was just gonna work an office job, corporate, climb the corporate ladder, that sort of thing. But once I got in this lifestyle, I realized that's not what would make me happy, and I need to follow the path that I feel called to. And so, you know, I think being able to see yourself in a different light and see the possibilities for you being pretty much infinite. Whatever you want to focus your time on is what you can create. So that was just one thing that really shifted in my life, is just my awareness and the belief that I had for what I could create.
Yeah, great point. Um, and just to add to that, I mean, when I'm creating, it puts me into the present moment to where nothing else matters except for what I am doing, what I'm working on, and sometimes, I don't even have the whole plan all at once, I just start with what I have, and then all of a sudden, after you take that first step, the next step comes, or,
Yep.
the next ingredient comes, and it's just like, yeah, it's just finding that, for yourself, whether it's with, I mean, it's not going to be with creating food for everybody, but you just need to find that thing that puts you into the present moment to where nothing else matters, and you're just in what we've been referring to as the flow state. And yeah, it's just magical,
Yeah.
just and the raw foods, it definitely opens you up more intuitively, I believe. Just to be aware of there's something else trying to come through you instead of all this worry and stress, anxiety that we tend to cling to from day to day.
Yep.
You know, like you said, the foods that we're eating are higher vibrational, and it's going to put you in that state if you're willing to stay open and maintain that, and let go of some of these other things that really don't matter.
Yeah.
It's just, we keep holding on to the things that are making us sick, you know
Exactly.
and sometimes you need to get out in nature, or you need to find some quiet time, or you need to get around, like you said, some other like-minded people. It was so great out there at the retreat. I just felt like we were getting started, and all of a sudden it was over, and it was just like, okay, now is that it? It's
Yeah.
just like, I was just like, all that was leading up to, just those 4 days. And now I got to go back to, my routine of what I've been doing the rest of the year. And it was just like, it would be great to have a community like that, a little more often in your life. And if you can find it and create it, that's even better. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely. I can see where, you know, being the only one in your area like this, it can get, lonely and frustrating, and, you may only have certain type of people to hang around. And, I don't have a lot of friends that outside of work, I'm pretty much a loner, and, stay to myself, find things to, you know, just to release a lot of that stress and anxiety that can come with the work environment. But yeah, I'm definitely a little more mindful about who I want to spend my time with. That's for sure. So, if I'm selfish in that way, hey, I'm selfish. But I I feel like I spent so many years not caring about my health, and now it's just like all I want is to just feel the best that I possibly can each day, you know.
Yeah. Yep. I totally relate. I'm the same way. I don't have any friends anymore. To be honest, in my area, I don't really do much other than, I work, and then I work on my projects, and then, I have my son. So, that's pretty much what takes up all my time. And so that's that's okay. I don't mind, honestly, I don't mind it. I enjoy, and that's what I love having this community for, online, is all the people that I've become friends with, and the people that, show me support, and people that I like to support. So and as Sherry mentioned, I'm thinking of doing retreats. I'm gonna start, doing some retreats. Definitely not as big as, the vegan wellness retreat, but probably like 15 to 20 people, maybe even 10 to 20 people. I'm still trying to figure it out, but retreats are definitely something that I am now interested in, now that I've seen how powerful they are. So yeah,
Cool. Well, count me in.
all right, I will for sure.
um,
We can definitely connect on that.
yeah, I think another thing just that would help you to get more creative is to just maybe think back to when you were a kid and the things that you did for fun as a kid. Like sometimes
Hmm.
just a simple activity like finding a playground and swinging on a swing, can just reduce a lot of stress, if you ask me. I mean, just
Absolutely.
you know just find something that is more like play than it is like a job or a duty.
Yep.
you know
Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
yeah.
Being playful, it is, so it's healing in itself. But yeah, it definitely inspires creativity. And honestly, that's, the things that I enjoyed doing as a kid. I used to, with my friends, I would make mazes. We would always draw mazes, and, different things like that. And so I took that and I put that into, so I made a kids book. That was the first book I ever published. It was in 2017. Kids book, and I drew my all the mazes, and I did all the puzzles and all that. So that was one way that I found to channel some of that childhood creativity into something today, or recently, that I could inspire people with, that I could, share with people. And so, yeah, I think it's so important to remember, like, think back to what we loved doing as children, and whether it's to create a product or not, it could, like you said, like go roll around in the grass or roll down a hill or do some cartwheels or whatever you want to do. But just like getting into that playful state can really open things up for you mentally and emotionally, which helps everything else. So I think that's a great point. All right. Rocky says, Matt, you'd be great at retreats. Such a great attitude. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I look forward to doing it. Like I said, I had a blast at the vegan wellness retreat, and I just want to have more of that. So I definitely think there's some retreats in my future, and hopefully Kevin's as well. We can definitely talk about that. So,
Yeah.
um, let's see here. All right. Any last points before we get into the Q&A?
Um, I think I might have covered maybe my third point when I started doing the book. I mean, that was just just learning the whole structure and the layout of how a book goes. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you've done books, and um, but that put me into the present moment because just you know finding the right pictures and writing out the recipes and just the different structure, and that to me just helped me out,
Yeah.
created, yeah.
Absolutely.
uh, but yeah, I think I pretty much touched on everything I got jotted down here, so
Awesome. Cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, one last time before we get into the Q&A, what's the best place for people to find you?
On Instagram at raw foodie style, and my books you can find at payhip.com/raw foodie style.
All right. Nice. Yeah, and just a reminder, everybody, that those links are down below. So let's get over to the Q&A room here, and let's answer some questions. So I know there has been some floating in here. And everybody remember to hit the thumbs up. I always forget to say this, but hit the thumbs up on this video so it gets out to more people. Subscribe if you haven't, and hit that little bell notification so you get all the updates. All right, let's see here. Sherry says she's glad we're back to doing regular shows. Thank you, Sherry. I appreciate you. And Carl wasn't able to be here today, but we're missing Carl for sure. Carl, hope you're doing well. Let's see here. No, there was a couple questions earlier. A lot of great conversation, anyways. I appreciate everybody being here and chatting it up in the chat. Oh, Mallory says Kevin has the cutest grandbaby, Reed. Just an FYI for everybody. So, yes, Reed was definitely adorable.
He's just one of 10.
Oh my gosh. Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
That keeps you busy?
I have 3 children, 10 grandchildren. I can't say that I'm constantly around them,
Yeah,
but yeah, they keep my kids busy.
I bet. I can imagine. All right. Let's see. Rocky says, I've never had real raw gourmet because I'm too lazy and no raw restaurants where I live. Do the pizzas really taste like pizza, like texture and everything else? Kevin's does.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I'm not one to really brag about it, but but I think I've created a really good pizza crust, and I think my pizzas are probably the best that I've had. The one thing I didn't like about making some other pizza crust that I made in the past was it seemed to always be overbearing with the ingredients that they used, to where you couldn't enjoy the sauce and the cheese and
Mm,
toppings, and And what I like about my crust is it's very neutral, just like a regular pizza crust would be, to where you can enjoy the taste of the sauce and the cheese and whatever you're topping it with. So,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And how long does it take about to make a pizza?
well, the crust recipe is for two crust, and if you're just doing two crust, and I have a 9 tray Excalibur, you can usually the crust after you're done blending and spreading it out on the sheet. They should be dry within 3 hours.
Nice.
So it's not a lot of dry time
Yeah.
for them. That's the other nice thing that I like. Some pizza crust can take up to 8 hours, 12 hours to dry.
Right.
But not these. If you spread them out, if you follow the directions and spread them out to the you know thin consistency that I say in the recipe, 3 hours is tops.
Nice. That's big because that yeah, most of the pizzas that I've made, I've had to do like overnight because it takes like 8 to 12 hours, like you said. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Um, right. Rocky also says, do you create raw food recipes as a hobby, or do you have other hobbies, and do you have other hobbies out of curiosity?
I would say it's probably a hobby because I'm really not making a lot of money on my books. um,
Not yet.
yeah, not yet. Um, but yeah, it's sort of a hobby. Besides for this, I just like maybe getting outside in the sun, just nature. I'm a very simple person, so it's like I don't really have any other hobbies besides creating raw food when the idea is there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but but yeah, I mean, I just live a very simplistic life. I just yeah, I find that a lot of my alone time is my serenity, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Especially after the fast-paced environment that the store can bring from day to day.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, back before I was raw, I might have been into some other things, but it's just like, I'm just more into peace these days.
For sure. Yeah. I am the same. But yeah, likewise, I like to get out. I like to do hiking and go, camping when I can. And just, with my son, we go to the park every day almost. So that's really fun. I just like being outside in the sun, getting fresh air. I do still, no, I've been a golfer my whole life, so I don't golf nearly as much as I used to. Um, maybe a couple times a year now, where I used to do it 5 times a week. So, yeah, I love sports, to be honest. And even just like, even like bars, like ping pong. I played ping pong my whole life. I love ping pong. Pickleball is kind of my new um, hobby, I guess I would say. But since we've been, since I've been back from the retreat, I haven't played. But pickleball is something I just started doing this year. So me and my brother play a little bit. So that would be one thing that I like to do now is, and I think that also is part of the childlike play, and fun that I think we should all have is find some games that you like to play that you can do, even if it's by yourself, just something you can do like a game. Because, games, who doesn't like games, right? I think games just bring out a different energy in you. And so, yeah, and it doesn't even have to be a physical game, I guess. It could be, you know, Scrabble or something, just something to get you into that playful mindset. So, yeah. All right, let's see here. Rocky also says, personally, I would rather hang out alone than be with people who are not aligned with me. I know people who refuse to be alone no matter what, which I also don't think is healthy. Yeah, I agree. I think I kind of used to be that way. I would just go out even though I didn't want to. Um, I just felt like it was expected, So I've definitely found it to be beneficial to remove myself from situations that I don't want to be in as much as I can. And that just brings more peace into your life and, that sort of stuff. All right, let's see here. Rocky says, oh, yeah, that. Rocky says, what platform do you recommend using to create ebooks? That part has always been overwhelming for me. You have a favorite one?
I use Canva.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what you may use, Matt, but that
Same.
seems to work well for me.
Yeah, that's what I use as well.
Okay.
Yep, Canva. For my paperback books, I use Apple. I use Apple or Apple. What is it called? Pages, just like the Word edition, Apple's Word. Um, but yeah, I just do that and I set the formatting right, which you can just Google what formatting. If you're planning on making a paperback book, that's the way that I've done it. But yeah, for ebooks, typically I'll use Canva. Yep.
Yeah, and all the time that I've been, I mean, you can pay for, different subscriptions to Canva, but I've just used it for free and created all three books,
Yeah, same.
without paying anything.
Yep,
So
same here. Yeah, it's a great program to make these sorts of things for free. Let's see here. What would Kevin? This is from Vegan Knowledge JJ. Hey JJ, thanks for being here. Missed you last week or yesterday, I mean. Um, what would Kevin be able to come make us the raw pizza for dinner? Yeah, good
where do you
question. Yeah,
live?
yeah. Let's
I
see.
actually did make pizza for two friends last week. They come into the store and
Oh, nice.
they're not vegan, they're not plant based. I mean, they do eat what they believe to be healthy,
Sure.
um, but they were open to it and they loved it. You know,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's a great way to bring in their curiosity, right? Of trying more um, raw dishes and just learning more about this lifestyle. So that's really cool.
yeah.
And that, yeah, like I was just at Costco yesterday, and the bagger, I don't know if you call them beggars, but the guy that was putting my items back into my cart, um, I was wearing my hat, and he was like, "Oh, do you have a health show?" And I was like, "Yeah, on YouTube. I do a show every Sunday, and uh, bring on different guests, and we talk about holistic health and raw food." And he was super interested. So that's just another way, And now when I go back, maybe I'll see him again, and we'll have a conversation. Maybe he's watching right now. That'd be even cooler. So yeah, I mean, you never know when somebody's gonna be interested or ask you a question. But as long as you're open to it, I definitely think when you're open to receiving opportunity from God or the universe, it's there. It's there more than people like to think. So just be open to it, and you never know who you're gonna meet or what opportunity is gonna come up, and it's pretty cool. Um, let's see here. Rocky says that's a quick. Wow, that's quick for pizza crust. 3 hours. Most recipes take forever, and that's what stops him from doing it. So that's yeah, I agree. I think that's incredible. 3 hours is very doable for anybody. You do it in the morning. So if you actually accidentally leave it too long, does that what if you like made it in the morning before you went to work and then you came back and you took it out when you got home? Would it be too hard at that point?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd want to maybe you'd have to plan when you have a 3 hour time at home, which
Yeah.
I mean,
When you can stay home and babysit it, like I like to say,
yeah, 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 for
I
sure.
get I get really picky with my stuff, rotating it and flipping it, and just like really keeping an eye on it. And
Yeah,
you and sometimes it's hard to explain that in the book. I hope people are getting close to the same results that I am. But
yeah.
you know, I'm a little more particular, and I sometimes you know am a perfectionist, which probably isn't always the most healthy thing to be, but
It
I
shows you care.
yeah, I I inspire to be my best, but sometimes it can that too can take its toll on you. So
Sure. Yep. And that. Liv says, what raw vegan dish are you most proud of creating?
hmm, I yeah, probably between one of the pizzas or the tacos, because like I said, that's what I really liked eating before I went raw. So to try and get them as close to what I remember eating, before raw, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yep.
So so yeah, when I'm craving a taco or a pizza, I know that I can, you know, feed that craving with something that's really healthy and looks the part and tastes the part, and you know,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh,
Right
nice.
now, I'm working on some wings that I'm hoping to perfect for the retreat with they're gonna have like a sort of like a deep fried batter. I call them deep dried since
Yeah.
they're dried in the dehydrator, but to get that crispiness of what you would find like on something that's been deep fried is that's sort of what I'm working on right now. So I'm trying to perfect that, and hopefully I'll have that ready for the retreat next June.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Sherry says, what does Kevin eat in a day typically?
Uh, a lot of fruit, big salads. People tend to look at my Instagram page and think I'm only eating pizzas and tacos and all the stuff that you see on there. But
Yeah.
I just put that. I like putting that in out there to show people what else you can do besides for just eating fruits and vegetables in their raw state. You know, that it is possible to still eat your pizzas and tacos, and you're just using different ingredients. But usually what I'm eating in a day can vary, from day to day or season to season, depending on what's in season. Right now, I'm getting some really good green grapes. So I'm filling up with a lot of them in the morning, maybe some sun gold kiwis, mangoes. All the good ones from Mexico are done now, I think. So I'm getting a few from California. Um, but usually I like to stick with a lot of fruit or smoothies in the morning, a big salad, maybe around lunchtime, early afternoon. And then if I am going to do the dehydrated stuff, it's going to be later, like for a supper time meal. But that's usually like a weekend thing for me. That's not an every night through the week thing. So so don't be deceived by what you're seeing on my social media platform, that thinking that that's all I'm eating, because I am a big fruit eater. Um, I was eating watermelons up until they pretty much ended locally here just like the other week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, a lot of fruit, since going low fat, to keep my calorie intake up.
Yep.
Bananas, and salads. I'm still getting a lot of local greens from people, and I have a guy that he does some sprouting that comes into the store, so he sells me some sprouts and microgreens, and so yeah, I'm definitely getting my fruit and my greens and raw veggies, red bell peppers, tomatoes. I grew a lot of tomatoes this year, so um, but yeah, I mean, I sometimes don't like to say this is what I eat in a day, because then I think a lot of people are going to try and pattern themselves after that. And I think people need to find their own way, what's working for them, because
Yeah.
it depends on your lifestyle. Because if you're a stay-at-home mom, or a guy that works from home, you're what you're going to be eating is going to be a lot different than the person on the go that has to take something for lunch, or their lunch break, you know, so you have to make it work with your lifestyle, you know, not one person's lifestyle and how they have it arranged and set out is going to work for everybody. So that's why I sort of steer clear of the this is what I eat in a day, because I don't want people to say, oh, well, this is what Kevin eats, so I'm going to try and do what he does, you know.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, great point. I always try and warn people about that, trying to just imitate. I mean, especially people, a lot of the people that you see on social media are like in Florida or Hawaii or Southern California, and they're showing you what they like, how they eat. Um, or even, and nothing against her, but Fully Raw Christina, she's great, but her lifestyle is, sorry, but I don't know hardly anybody that's going to be able to do what she's doing in terms of like what she eats every day or what she shows that she's eating. So yeah, it's so important, like you said, to find, be practical with the way that you're going to design your lifestyle, your diet, because it's different than, just even city to city, the city right over, like me, a couple hours away. So say somebody's living a couple hours, their options are going to be different than what I have because there's different grocery stores, and maybe somebody's in an apartment, or they're, it really just depends on so many factors. So yeah, totally agree with you. You got to be practical and just honest with yourself and your situation with what's going to work the best for you. Great point.
Yeah, because you know as well as I know, us people in the northern part of the United States, we're not, you know, getting like really ripe pineapples, you know,
Right.
just to say, you know, like somebody would be getting in Hawaii or,
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
Costa Rica,
I
you know.
haven't bought a stone fruit in like a decade because they're rock hard.
Hmm.
Like I can't get plums. Sometimes uh California peaches are like edible and good, but most of the time if I buy peaches or plums or apricots or anything like that, they're rock hard, taste awful. So I don't even buy it. Even though it's there, it's on the shelves, but it's just in Minnesota, you're just not going to get good stone fruits,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
you just got to do the best with what you have and, you
Yeah.
know, what you can. And
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Luckily, there is a Costco. They got organic frozen berry mixes and peach. There's tropical mixes and things that are still good. So that's what I resort to versus
yeah,
getting them fresh. So yeah, you just gotta find what works.
right.
Um, let's see here. Rocky says, I find being outside and drama free great for me. People find my life so boring, but it's satisfying to me. Hey, join the club. Um, what? So Rocky also says, what is each of your favorite raw dishes?
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, for me, my favorite, I mean, it's hard to say, to be honest. Let's see. I think one of my all-time favorites that I, always enjoy when I make it. And I could probably say that about most of them, but the ones, because if I don't enjoy it the first time, I probably, unless I tweak it a little bit and try to figure out a way to like it, I just don't make it anymore. I just try to make things I know I like. But the thing that I really look forward to is probably my wild rice stuffing, which for the purists out there, wild rice is not actually raw. They do have to heat it to dry it out. But other than that, it's all raw. And one of my favorite, especially holiday dishes, is my wild rice stuffing.
And for me, I would have to say probably my regular um, taco meat
Mm,
I've actually put the recipe out. It's in a few different posts on my Instagram page, so you don't even have to buy the book to find my taco meat recipe. But that's probably the one that I'm most proud of. I think that one made it into all three of my books because I have a taco pizza in the pizza book, and then of course the taco book, and then in the first book was just a bunch of random recipes, and I think I used that taco meat recipe in the first book too. But yeah, I just really enjoyed what I came up with there, and it just yeah, it really hits the spot when I'm craving tacos. I mean, because right before I went raw, I mean, I think I kept my local taco shop in business because um, I was moving out to Oklahoma after a few months after I went raw, and I went back to just see these guys and let them know that I was leaving town, and just going to let them know what became of me, because they hadn't seen me since I gone raw, because I wasn't eating there anymore, and I went back to just say hey to them, and the taco shop was closed up. I mean, it was closed down. So
Oh, wow.
I was getting like 10 soft tacos and 2 burritos there like every other night.
Yeah. Yeah.
But but yeah, I often say that as a joke, that I was keeping them in business, because when I went back to see them, they were out of business. So
Yeah. Yeah. You ended their business. Um, cool. All right. Sherry wants to know what you use for salad dressing.
once again, anything that's in, or was that a question to you, Matt? I know you have the salad books.
Yep. No, she was definitely she knows what I use. So
Okay,
she wants to know
okay.
what yeah.
Well, when mangoes are in season, I like mango and red bell pepper
Hmm,
with a bunch of different seasonings and spices.
nice.
Maybe a little ginger in there every once in a while. Um, Once again, I think that's a seasonal thing for me. Um, Trying to think of what else. A lot of tomato-based dressings is what I did this past summer, because I grew a lot of heirloom tomatoes.
Nice.
Um, Here lately, in the last week, I've been doing like a Korean-based tomato red bell pepper. Sort of has like a kimchi taste to it, for a salad dressing. So I sort of mix it up. And those are pretty much intuitive. I don't really write things down. That's where I do still let my intuition play, and I just throw a handful of tomatoes and a bell pepper and some spices and some ginger, and this and that, and you know
Yeah.
but I sort of mix it up, like I said, depending on what's in season and what I got.
Nice. Love it. All right. Allison says, what is Kevin's favorite dessert or sweet?
If I'm craving something in, just that sweet, I'll just eat like a medjool date or two. you know,
Yeah.
I'm I'm not much of a dessert guy anymore, because I think I get so much of my sugar content through just fruit. Um, so I really don't lean towards those things anymore. In the beginning, I was doing, when I was higher fat, I mean, I was doing some really good cheesecakes, which
Mm,
my daughters have me make towards the holidays every once in a while, because they enjoy those. But that's got a lot of cashews and coconut oil, and the crust has Brazil nuts in it. So I mean, it's just definitely. I mean, I could eat a little slice of it, you know, but I don't think I have, since I've gone low fat. I don't think I've eaten any of it. I've always made the cheesecakes for them, and I was like, here you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, absolutely. And she also asked me as well. Thank you for the question, Allison. Great to see you. So yeah, and I agree. Like, I also just like it's like dates. I use dates, but in my early days, I used to make a lot of date balls. Like carob date balls. Roll them in coconut or something like that. I don't do that anymore, but every once in a while I'll make carob date balls. Just in the food processor, throw a bunch of dates and some carob powder, and make it into little balls. Put them in the freezer. I really like that. Um, I really like more of a holiday type thing is raw pumpkin pie. That's one of my favorite desserts. Um, during the holidays for sure. So and that put a persimmon in there. That really persimmons. I don't think I had a persimmon until I was like 30 some years old. I wish I would have known about persimmons before that because persimmons might be my fit when they're ripe. They're like maybe my favorite fruit. I don't know. It's hard to say because there's so many. Durian's definitely up there. Um, even just watermelon. But do you have a favorite fruit, Tim?
Mangoes probably for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's up there as well. But yeah,
Yeah, but we have a persimmon tree where I work.
really,
So
wow,
yeah, so I've been gathering all kinds of persimmons. We have fig bushes and kiwi berry bushes, and so I pretty much tend to that stuff. So I
amazing.
have access to all the persimmons that I want.
That's incredible.
You
Wow,
would love to be working where I'm at this time of year because they just fall from the tree and we just pick them up off the ground, and
wow.
we just put them out for free for the customers. Actually,
Ah,
we don't even sell them.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
What a
But they
gift.
are good. I mean, when they're super soft, they're really good.
Yeah, yeah. One of my all-time favorites, if not the best for me. Yeah. See, that's the thing. It's like Minnesota. We have like it's great here, but other than the 8 months of winter, it feels like. But like even in Michigan, they grow uh cherries and peaches and other stone fruits, and we don't get any of that here. Like I thought we were like pretty similar, but I mean like the most that we get here is like I've heard people grow pears. Never seen a pear tree here, but apples, some watermelon, um that's about it that I'm aware of. So we definitely got the short end of the stick on like fruits that grow here. So it's just another reason that I definitely need to get out of Minnesota as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're very similar to Michigan in that way. I mean, we grow cherries and apples
Wow.
and um, yeah, all that here as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's just hard to find them organic because where I work, we only sell organic or chemical free. If the local vendors, if they're not certified organic, we make sure that they're still not using pesticides and
Okay.
herbicides, that stuff. So we
Nice.
only sell organic and chemical free produce. So
Cool.
that's where I get like 90% of my groceries, since I get a nice 25% discount. So
Yeah.
that's helped me with ingredients over the years.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. Those discounts definitely make a big difference. Um Rocky says, "Do you ever eat restaurant food?"
Is that question for me?
Probably we can both probably answer that.
Okay.
What do you ever?
The last time I ate at a restaurant was my dad lives up north. Well, I shouldn't say north, but northern Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's like 3 hours away. So he always insists that he takes me out to eat. Now, the last time I visited him, I sort of got out of it. We didn't have to go out to eat. But the time before that was probably the last time I ate at a restaurant. And I just got a simple salad. I think it was iceberg lettuce, tomato, cucumbers, onions. And I'll tell you what, I left there and I had stomach pain and gas like you
Mm,
wouldn't believe just from eating a simple salad. So I don't know what might have been on that produce that they served me,
yep.
but it just didn't agree with me. And I usually stay away from restaurants, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I I can't remember the last time I was at a restaurant. I mean, the most memorable one, I'm sure I've probably been to one after this, but like few months into my raw food journey, uh, or my holistic health. I don't know if I was really even in. I was getting into raw food, but I went to a Applebee's and I got their um, fried green beans, Because I was like, that's like a plant-based option. I got that. I don't know. Who knows what the if it was the breading or what they fried it in. I'm sure that was a big part of it. But yeah, I went home that night, and as my stomach started to gurgle, and I was literally on the toilet. I was like evacuating out of both ends
Mm.
for a week straight. For a week
Wow.
straight. I couldn't leave the bathroom. Like it was awful. So yeah, I missed a week of work, and I was just like stuck in the bathroom for a straight week. And I don't know, maybe I've been back since then, but that's like the most memorable last restaurant experience I had. Other than we used to have a raw food restaurant, a raw vegan restaurant here in Minneapolis, but it's closed, so can't go there anymore. But, okay, let's see here. And thank you everybody for all the great questions. So good to see everybody as always. Allison, Rocky, Sherry, Carl. Carl, thanks for making it. Um, Liv, um, Vegan JJ. So many great people here. Sorry if I missed you. All right, let's see. I think there's maybe a couple more. Oh, well, Rocky says, where do I want to move? I was thinking Florida for the longest time, but not thinking Florida anymore. Um, just way too expensive, and honestly, I love going to Florida, but I feel like, and it could be just because I don't know where to find the deals and everything, but or even the good produce, but I have better luck finding good produce in Minnesota than I did in Florida, which is crazy. But
Mm.
yeah, I just like good organic produce. Just I don't know why, but I have better luck here than we had when we were down there. So which again, I'm sure you can. I just need to find where to go down there, but I'm actually thinking now more maybe Arizona, maybe or
That's where I just love it out in Arizona or that whole area in general. Like I've been to Utah, I've been to Nevada,
mm-hmm,
New Mexico. It's just something is so magical about that place out there.
yeah,
It's just I just feel so drawn to that area that I'll probably end up finding myself out there,
nice,
sometime in the future, I would think.
awesome, yeah. Well, hope to see you there.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
maybe that's where you'll have your retreats at.
Could be very possible, very possible. All right. A lot of persimmon lovers in here as well. Allison loves persimmons. Um, Sherry says, I used to work on a persimmon farm and they'd pay me cash plus a black lawn bag full of persimmons. Oh, oh, that's amazing. Um, Carl says, I never wanted to miss it. Sherry, Sherry Boo, just so grateful for all of Matt's lives. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, Carl. Couldn't do it without amazing guests like Kevin. So thanks, Kevin, for being here. I think that
Thanks
might
for thanks for being a great host. How long have you been doing this show?
uh maybe 2 years, a year and a half or 2 years or something like that. No,
Okay.
I take that back. I don't even when did I start this show? I went a year whenever I started, maybe 3 years ago or something. Um, I did a show every Sunday for pretty much every Sunday for about a year, and then things just got way too busy, so I kind of put the show on hold and I took a break from it, and now I'm just getting back to it. So if you take out that gap of time where I just couldn't get myself to do it every week, I've probably got 70 episodes, 60 or 70 episodes, I would guess.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you being here. Um, oh, Rocky is from Arizona. He said, unfortunately, we will eventually have water issues in the near future. Ooh, yeah, that's not good. Yeah, and somebody else mentioned the hurricanes in Florida. Yeah, there's definitely there's things that we're gonna have to deal with wherever we go. Minnesota, the winter sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It's okay
Yeah,
for like a couple of weeks, you know,
I, I'm
but
not much for the winters we have here either.
yeah,
I I tend to hibernate and not go outside much during the winter, and
yep,
it sort of sucks for somebody like me who likes to be out in the sun.
yes, exactly, same.
Yeah.
Yep. So that Liv says Michigan winter sucks too. Yeah. See, and then after I was in Michigan, I thought maybe I'll move to Michigan, because they got way more fruits. And it's just, I love the energy in Michigan. When I was in Michigan for the retreat, it was just like the energy was different. I loved it. But again, the winter, I feel like if I move, I want to go somewhere to get away from winter for the most part. I'm not totally against having some winter, but like 8 months of it is too much.
Yeah.
Not that we have snow for 8 months, but it's cold, overcast. It's just not enjoyable. So I definitely want to get somewhere that's where I can be out, like you said, in the sun, just enjoying the weather for at least like if I could flip it, like 8 months of good weather and 4 months of, a little bit less than good weather, I'd be okay with that. But even somewhere like Missouri, the Kansas City area is really nice. My parents used to live down there, so I would be happy living there. Um, you know, but we'll see what happens. Allison said, "We'll swap you all. The UK is always cold." Ooh, yeah, that's that doesn't sound like the funnest place to live, but I've heard it's beautiful. I've heard it's beautiful at times. So you know, again, as much as we can find issues and challenges with anywhere we go, there's also positives and silver linings, I think, to every place as well. So we just got to do our best to find those silver linings and be the bright spots in those areas ourselves.
Definitely.
Yes. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions. Now, typically, yeah, it's already wow. We've gone a little over the hour here, so I appreciate your time, Kevin. Um,
Sure.
and typically, I always like to do a giveaway. For I give away one of my ebooks to somebody who asked a question. Uh, as you guys know, I mentioned, or maybe you don't know, but I mentioned last week or the week before my program that I run this on. We updated it, and it wiped out every. That's why the background's different now, and my transitions are not working very well. But yeah, I lost my wheel of names as well, so I got to get that reinstalled. I can't just put people's names in and have it pick it for me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do it like I did the first several weeks of the show. It's pretty primitive, but I'm gonna just have my mouse over on the chat. I'm going to scroll it up and down, not look at it, and we'll see where it lands. And if it's somebody that asked a question, then you will get a free ebook of your choice out of my three. I've got more, but three ebooks that I think people would want. So let's see here. It landed on Rocky. So Rocky, I'm not sure if you have all of my ebooks or any of my ebooks. If you would like one, email me at matt@myrawintuition.com and I will send you a free ebook of your choice. And thank you so much for being at the show and asking your questions. And thank you everybody else as well. I really appreciate all the great questions today, and the interaction in the chat. Always great to see you guys, connecting and having great conversations and having fun. So, um, any last words, Kevin, that you want to share before we sign off?
Um, if you're venturing into eating more raw, just I would just say have fun with it, because I sort of got lost in a lot of the do's and don'ts and regulations and rules, and it sort of frustrated me for a while. But you just need to find your own way and what's working for you. And, you know, even if you're just adding a little more raw here and there, just see how you feel on it, and, just, have fun with it.
Absolutely. Love that. Um, Rocky said that he does have my ebooks. So he said, give it to somebody else. As Kevin was giving his answer, I was scrolling and I had to do it a couple times because I know the other person that I landed on also has all my ebooks. So it landed on Liv. So, Liv, if you would like one of my ebooks, if you don't have them, email me at matt@myrawintuition.com, and I would be so happy to get you a copy of one of my ebooks. But yeah, I agree, Kevin. Just getting little bits in at a time and just gradually working our way into the lifestyle, I think is such a great way to do it, rather than jumping in all head first, going 100% overnight. I think, slow and steady is the way to win the race. Um, and yeah, I mean, I know that's what worked for me. I didn't go 100% overnight. It took me about a year to transition. And so, yeah, that's great advice. So thank you again, Evan, for being here. Again, everybody, check out all of his books and his Instagram linked down below. Um, Great books, great recipes. I've personally had his pizza recipe and incredible. You will not be disappointed. And like he said, I didn't even it only takes 3 hours to make that crust. So that is a huge plus. And it's outstandingly delicious. So definitely check it out. And follow him on Instagram. All right. Well, again, thank you everybody for being here and for showing us all the love and all the engagement. I look forward to seeing you next week, Saturday and Sunday. We're going to try and do that every single Saturday and Sunday again, going forward, if I can maintain it. But it's looking promising so far. So thank you again, everybody, and we will catch you next week. Always follow your raw intuition.
Thanks, Matt.